Good morning. All right, we are picking up on Bible study, number 29. Here we go. Start off with a prayer, weekly introduction prayer. Almighty God, we come before you seeking the twin graces of honesty and wisdom to guide our steps each day. Grant us the courage to walk in absolute truth, remove any temptation to deceive, hide, or manipulate, and give us transparent hearts that honor you in both word and deed. When the truth is difficult to speak or hard to hear, season our words with grace, yet keep us anchored in integrity. Pour out your wisdom upon us, Lord. In a world full of noise, confusion, and competing demands, grant us the discernment to separate the urgent from the important and the superficial from the eternal. Help us see situations through your eyes, to make decisions that reflect your heart, and to navigate complex choices with a steady and peaceful mind. Align our desires with your will so that our honesty builds trust and our wisdom bears good fruit, bringing glory to your name in all that we do. Amen. All right, let's go ahead and pick up on chapter 19. We're on the right side, about halfway down on page 25. Let's go ahead and take a moment to catch up if you'd like. Or unless you have a bookmark, it should be right there. All right, chapter 19, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. It's a famous story right here. They make VeggieTales out of this? I don't know. The two angels reached Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he got up to greet them, and bowing down with his face to the ground, he said, "Please, my lords, come aside into your servant's house for the night and bathe your feet. You can get up early to continue your journey." But they replied, "No, we will pass the night in the town square." He urged them so strongly, however, that they turned aside to his place and entered his house. He prepared a banquet for them, baking unleavened bread, and they dined. Before they went to bed, the townsmen of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. They called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to your house tonight? Bring them out to us that we may have sexual relations with them." We gotta fuck them. That's the initiation for this place. All right, Lot went out to meet them at the entrance. When he had shut the door behind him, he said, "I beg you, my brothers, do not do this wicked thing. I have two daughters who have never had sexual relations with men. Let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you please." What the fuck? So, okay, one, being gay was back then too. And then two, this motherfucker's literally just saying like, "Hey, I have a couple daughters. Like, go ahead and rape them." Oh man, lot. It's a lot to learn. Oh man, we're in the Old Testament, man. This people were pretty messed up back then. All right. But do not do anything to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof. They replied, "Stand back. This man," they said, "this man came here as a resident alien, and now he dares to give orders. We will treat you worse than them." With that, they pressed hard against Lot, moving in closer to break down the door. But his guests put out their hands, pulled Lot inside with them, and closed the door. They struck the men at the entrance of the house, small and great, with such a blinding light that they were utterly unable to find the doorway. Flashbang! Then the guests said to Lot, "Who else belongs to you here? Sons-in-law, your sons, your daughters, who all belong to you in the city? Take them away from this place. We are about to destroy this place, for the outcry reaching the Lord against those here is so great that the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who had contracted marriage with his daughters. Are these the same daughters he's willing to throw out to the crowd? Oh, Christ almighty. Come on, leave this place, he told them. The Lord is about to destroy the city. But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. Is this some sort of weird prank? Am I unpunked? Where are the cameras? As dawn was breaking, the angels urged Lot on, saying, "Come on, take your wife with you and your two daughters who are here, or you will be swept away in the punishment of the city." When he hesitated, the men, because of the Lord's compassion for him, seized his hand and the hands of his wife and his two daughters and led them to safety outside the city. As soon as they had brought them outside, they said, "Flee for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere on the plain. Flee to the hills at once, or you will be swept away." "Oh, no, my lords," Lot replied to them. "You have already shown favor to your servant, doing me the great kindness of saving my life. But I cannot flee to the hills, or the disaster will overtake and kill me. Look, this town ahead is near enough to escape to. It is only a small place. Let me flee there. Is it not a small place to save my life? Let me flee there to save my life. Is it not a small place?" I'm just wondering why it's like that part's in the middle of the sentence. All right. Seems structured kind of weird, but I think I might have some footnotes, do I? No, I do not. Okay. All right. Not until the next part. All right. "Well then," he replied, "I grant you this favor too. I will not overthrow the town you have mentioned. Hurry, escape there. I cannot do anything until you arrive there. That is why the town is called Zoar. The sun had risen over the earth when Lot arrived in Zoar, but the Lord rained down sulfur upon Sodom and Gomorrah, fire from the Lord out of heaven. He overthrew those cities and the whole plain, together with the inhabitants of the cities and the produce of the soil. But Lot's wife looked back, and she was turned into a pillar of salt." Oh, damn. So she was trying to run from, was it maybe a pyroclastic flow? And then kind of like, what was it, the people in Pompeii that were like frozen in place, or not frozen, but burned, like the lava or whatever overtook them. Was there a volcano back then? Let's do quick question. Take a quick pause. Yeah, I don't have any viewers, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my own Q&A. So we got views, we got comments and stuff like that. I'm just gonna go ahead and spice it up and do my own Q&As for now till people start contributing. All right. So when it comes to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, are there any possible explanations for what actually happened? Is it maybe like a volcano, or there like volcanoes in the region? Was it like acid rain? And why was Lot's wife turned into salt? Was she like slow and maybe engulfed by like a pyroclastic flow, and so she turned into one of those statues like Pompeii?
Several theories suggest the destruction might have been caused by a large earthquake or even an airburst of a meteor, similar to the event of volcanoes in the immediate region. As for Lot's wife, the description of her turning into a pillar of salt is often interpreted as a symbolic or legendary account, possibly referencing the highly saline environment around the Dead Sea.
Okay, so if a meteor was coming, the angels or the messengers that were coming could have been like ancient astronomers or astrologists that basically saw the impending doom and the trajectory of the meteor coming. I don't know if they were that accurate scientifically, but like, what if they were like, "Oh crap, a meteor's coming," and then they tried to warn people, and they Sodom and Gomorrah just got demolished.
It's the cultural context of many ancient stories. It highlights how people made sense of catastrophic events before modern science.
It was Zeus. It was Thor battling Jormungandr. Okay. The next morning, Abraham hurried to the place where he had stood before the Lord. As he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and the whole region of the plain, he saw smoke over the land rising like the smoke from a kiln. When God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham and sent Lot away from the upheaval that occurred when God overthrew the cities where Lot had been living. Moabites and Ammonites. Since Lot was afraid to stay in Zoar, he and his 2 daughters went up from Zoar and settled in the hill country, where he lived with his 2 daughters in a cave. The firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is getting old, and there is not a man in the land to have intercourse with us, as is the custom everywhere." Oh God, I think I remember this story. Oh, brace yourselves. It's about to get incestuous. Oh, all right, let's go. Come, let us ply our father with wine and then lie with him, that we may ensure posterity by our father. So that night, I had a little father fetish. Oh shit, that's funny. All right, so that night they plied their father with wine, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, but he was not aware of her laying down or getting up. The next day, oh yeah, sure he wasn't. I don't remember. I cannot recall. The next day, the firstborn said to the younger, "Last night I lay with my father. Let us ply him with wine again tonight, and then you go in and lie with him, that we may ensure posterity by our father." So that night too, they plied their father with wine. He's just getting plastered, plastered and raped. Oh man, by his own daughters. Then the younger one went in and lay with him, but he was not aware of her lying down or getting up. Alcohol's a hell of a drug. Thus the 2 daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. The firstborn gave birth to a son, who she named Moab, saying, "From my father." He is the ancestor of the Moabites of today. The younger one too gave birth to a son, and she named him Ammon, saying, "The son of my kin." And he is the ancestor of the Ammonites of today. I warned you. Oh, people were fun back then. Fun and crazy. I use fun very loosely. His daughter was a promiscuous or horny as fuck. They needed some dick. All right. Chapter 20. Or actually, you know what? Let's do some footnotes here. Let's get some clarification. All right. In 1908, let me bring them out to you. The authority of a patriarch within his house was virtually absolute. Lot's extreme response of offering his daughters to a violent mob seems to be motivated by the obligation of hospitality. 1911, blinding light, an extraordinary flash that temporarily dazed the wicked men and revealed to Lot the true nature of his guests. They had a magic potion that created light. Phosphorus? Oh, magic. All right. 1914. It is uncertain whether Lot's sons-in-law were fully married to his daughters or only engaged to them. Israelite engagement was the first part of the marriage ceremony, or even whether the daughters involved were the same as or different from the 2 daughters who were still in their father's house. Okay. So I was looking for that clarification. I wasn't sure about that. 1920. I guess nobody's sure about that. 1920 is small place. The Hebrew word misar is a little thing that has the same root consonants as the name of the town Zoar in verse 22. 1925, overthrew. This term, it means turned upside down, and is used consistently to describe the destruction of the cities of the plain. The imagery of earthquake and subsequent fire fits the geology of this region. Okay. 1928 through 29. In a deft narrative detail, Abraham looks down from the height east of Hebron, from which he could easily see the region at the southern end of the Dead Sea, where the cities of the plain were probably located. 1930 through 38. This Israelite tale about the origin of Israel's neighbors east of the Jordan and the Dead Sea was told partly to ridicule these ethnically related but rival nations and partly to give popular etymologies for their names. The stylized nature of the story is seen in the names of the daughters, the firstborn, and the younger, the ease with which they fool their father, and the identical descriptions of the encounters. I got a photo here of the Pentapolis, the Dead Sea, and the Jordan Basin. Mount Carmel, Mount Carmel, Mount Gaheta. Just kidding. Mount Tabor, Mount Gazim, Jabbok, Jericho. Ooh, Jericho, that's gonna come up at some point. The walls of Jericho. Got Dor, Joppa, Ashkelon, Gaza. Okay. I'm starting to put stuff together. Mount Nebo. You got the Dead Sea there. River Jordan, Sodom, Gomorrah, Zereboim, Admah, Zoar. Okay, so that's in the Dead Sea now. Is that why she turned into a pillar? Was the Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt? She just got swallowed up by the Dead Sea, which is salty. And then she died, and there's like rigor mortis, so she was like stiff like a pillar. I don't know, man. All right, it's the red. We have level of the Dead Sea, negative 1,290 feet below sea level. I think that's sea level. It says below something. Jericho, negative 750 feet. The level of the Mediterranean. Okay. So it's maybe at Mediterranean level, which I guess sea level. Is that the same thing? Is the Mediterranean at sea level? All right, anyway. And then Mount Nebo is 3,000 feet. Jerusalem is there. And then Mount Olivet is 2,500 feet. So Jerusalem seems pretty well protected from the water and other stuff. All right, the Pentapolis, 5 cities: Sodom, Gomorrah, Zeboim, Admah, and Zoar, located on a fertile plain near the Dead Sea at the time of Abraham in circa 2000 BC. Lot and his family were captured by the kings of these cities and saved by Abraham, who on his return was blessed by Melchizedek. The cities were punished for their sins by a cataclysmic destruction. Nature fucked them up. The Dead Sea, an inland lake 53 miles long and 2 3/4 to 10 miles wide, fed by the Jordan, the lowest body of water on the Earth's surface, 1,290 feet below sea level. It is also called the Salt Sea, the Sea of Arabah or Plain, and Eastern Sea. Okay, so the Mediterranean or the Dead Sea is below sea level, 1,290 feet below sea level. Cool beans. The cities of the plain. This is the probable site of the cities of the plain: Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Zoar. On the right are the salt slabs at the southern end of the Dead Sea. It was from the conquerors of these cities that Lot was delivered by Abraham. Atlantis was just another city that was like, built below sea level, and there was a new river or something got formed and carved its way into stuff, and then next thing you know, got swallowed up by water. All right, I think it's a different story for a different time. We have another photo here, the colossal salt slabs. These colossal salt slabs are located in the cliffs of Jebel Uzdum the hill of Sodom at the southern end of the Dead Sea. It was probably here that the city of Sodom was situated before its destruction, when Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of salt. What if Lot and his wife were like running through this area, and then like a piece of it, like the earthquake, and like crumbled, and Lot was looking this way, right? Like he's running, they're running, and then like a piece of it falls down, and then like Lot's wife is there 1 second. He's like, okay, you're good, follow me, let's go. And then next thing you know, a big chunk of good crushes his freaking wife, and like poor thing. But then he looks back, he's like, oh my god, it's a pillar of salt. And then I guess Lot was not very smart, hence why he's like offering up his daughters to the crowd, desperate and dumb. And but anyway, he looked back, he's like, whoa, pillar of salt now. And like, where'd my wife go? She must be that pillar of salt. And then he just kept on running. Oh, my interpretations are fun. All right, here we go. The well of the oath. The importance of wells in some regions of Palestine made them more important than land and led to frequent disputes. This well in Beersheba is believed to be the well of the oath, where Abraham made a pact with Abimelech, showing that in accord with ancient custom, the well which he had dug was his property. I did that, it's mine. All right, so Lot's daughters raped him. And then chapter 20. Okay, here we go. So middle left side of page 27, chapter 20. Abraham at Gerar. From there, Abraham journeyed on to the region of the Negeb, where he settled between Kadesh and Shur. While he resided in Gerar as an alien, Abraham said to his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." So Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are about to die because of the woman you have taken, for she has a husband." Abimelech, who had not approached her, said, "O Lord, would you kill an innocent man? Was he not the one who told me she is my sister?" She herself also stated, "He is my brother. I acted with pure heart and with clean hands." God answered him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did it with a pure heart. In fact, it was I who kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. So now return the man's wife so that he may intercede for you, since he is a prophet, that you may live. If you do not return her, you can be sure that you and all who are yours will die." Early the next morning, Abimelech called all his servants and informed them of everything that had happened, and the men were filled with fear. Then Abimelech summoned Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? What wrong did I do to you that you would have brought such great guilt on me and my kingdom? You have treated me in an intolerable way. What did you have in mind?" Abimelech asked him that you would do such a thing. Abraham answered, "I thought there would be no fear of God in this place, and so they would kill me on account of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, but only my father's daughter, not my mother's, and so she became my wife. When God sent me wandering from my father's house, I asked her, 'Would you do me this favor? In whatever place we come to say, he is my brother.' Then Abimelech took flocks and herds and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham, and he restored his wife Sarah to him. Then Abimelech said, 'Here, my land is at your disposal. Settle wherever you please.' To Sarah he said, 'I hereby give your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This will preserve your honor before all who are with you and will exonerate you before everyone.' So Abimelech's just like terrified. He's like, damn, I don't want to experience the wrath of God. So he's just bribing them, like, here, take all this shit. Like, don't fuck with me, man. I ain't trying to start no shit. All right. Abraham then interceded with God, and God restored health to Abimelech. and to his wife and his maidservants, so that they bore children. For the God had closed every womb in Abimelech's household on account of Abraham's wife Sarah. All right, some footnotes here. In 1937, from my father, in Hebrew, Me-abi, similar in sound to the name Moab. 1938, the son of my kin, in Hebrew, Ben-ami, similar in sound to the name Ammonites. 21 to 2018, Abraham again passes off his wife Sarah as his sister to escape trouble in a foreign land. That's the J source, or the Jesuit source. The story appears to be from a different source, according to some. What's E? The Elohim, and deals with the ethical questions of the incident. In Genesis 26:6 through 11, it is yet another retelling of the story, but with Isaac and Rebekah as characters instead of Abraham and Sarah. 21, Kadesh and Shur. Kadesh Barnea was a major oasis on the southernmost border of Canaan, and Shur was probably the way to Shur, the road to Egypt. Gerar was a royal city in the area, but has not been identified with certainty. 26. Abimelech is exonerated of blame, but by that fact not cleared the consequences of his act. He is still under the sentence of death for abducting another man's wife. The consequences result from the deed, not the intention. It was the actus reus, not the mens rea. All right, whatever. Y'all dumb. Y'all really, really dumb. How'd your mom? How'd your wife? How'd your kids? They're raping everybody out here. 27. Prophet only hears Abraham explicitly called prophet. Hebrew Nabi. 2011. Fear of God is the traditional, though unsatisfactory, rendering of Hebrew yir at Yahweh, literally revering Yahweh. The phrase refers neither to the emotion of fear nor to religious reverence of a general kind. Rather, it refers to adherence to a single deity in a polytheistic culture, honoring that deity with prayers, rituals, and obedience. The phrase occurs again in 26:24, 43:23, and 50:19. It is very common in the wisdom literature of the Bible. In 2012, my sister, marrying one's half-sister was prohibited later in Israel's history. Israel eventually realized genetic defects. All right, chapter 21, where are we at? Okay, we're good. All right, chapter 21, the birth of Isaac. The Lord took note of Sarah as he had said he would. The Lord did for her as he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the set time that God had stated. Abraham gave the name Isaac to his son of his whom Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God had commanded. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah then said, God has given me cause to laugh, and all who hear of it will laugh with me. Who would ever have told Abraham, she added, that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham held a great banquet on the day of the child's weaning. Sarah noticed the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham playing with her son Isaac. So she demanded of Abraham, drive out that slave of her son. Oh, geez, what a bigot. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Sarah sucks. All right, so yeah, she's kind of a bitch. All right, drive out that slave and her son. Oh God. Okay. No son of that slave is going to share the inheritance with my son Isaac. Abraham was greatly distressed because it concerned a son of his. But God said to Abraham, "Do not be distressed about the boy or about your slave woman. Obey Sarah no matter what she asks of you, for it is through Isaac that descendants will bear your name. As for the son of the slave woman, I will make a nation of him also, since he too is your offspring." Ooh. Oh man, that's hilarious. All right. Racism or bigotry. Oh wow. Okay, 21:1 through 21. The long-awaited birth of Isaac parallels the birth of Ishmael in chapter 16, precipitating a rivalry and expulsion as in that chapter. Though this chapter is unified, the focus of verses 1 through 7 is exclusively on Sarah and Isaac, and the focus of verses 18 through 20, 8 through 21 is exclusively on Hagar and Ishmael. The promise of a son to the barren Sarah and elderly Abraham has been central to the previous chapters, and now that promise comes true with the birth of Isaac. The other great promise of that land will be resolved, at least in an anticipatory way, in Abraham's purchase of the cave at Machpelah in chapter 23. The parallel births of the two boys has influenced the Lucan birth narratives of John the Baptist and Jesus. In 21:6, laugh for the third time. There's laughter, playing on the similarity in Hebrew between the pronunciation of the name Isaac and the words associated with laughter. In 21:11, a son of his, Abraham is the father of both boys, but Sarah is the mother only of Isaac. Abraham is very concerned that Ishmael have a sufficient inheritance. Okay, so wants Ishmael to have sufficient inheritance. That's my baby too. All right. Ishmael, my baby. All right, top of page 28 on the right-hand side, chapter 21, verse 21:14. Early the next morning, Abraham got some bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. Then, placing the child on her back, he sent her away. As she roamed aimlessly in the wilderness of Beersheba, the water in the skin was used up. So she put the child down under one of the bushes and then went and sat down opposite him, about a bow shot away, for she said to herself, "I cannot watch the child die." As she sat opposite him, she wept aloud. God heard the boy's voice, and God's angel called to Hagar from heaven. "What is the matter? What is the matter, Hagar? Do not fear. God has heard the boy's voice in this plight of his. Get up, lift up the boy and hold him by the hand, for I will make of him a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went and filled the skin with water, and then let the boy drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the wilderness and became an expert bowman. He lived in the wilderness of Paran. His mother got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. The covenant at Beersheba. At that time, Abimelech, accompanied by Phicol, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, "God is with you in everything you do. So now swear to me by God at this place that you will not deal falsely with me or with my progeny and posterity, but will act as loyally toward me and the land in which you reside as I have acted toward you." Abraham replied, "I so swear." Abraham, however, reproached Abimelech about a well that Abimelech's servants had seized by force. "I have no idea who did that," Abimelech replied. "In fact, you never told me about it, nor did I ever hear of it until now." Then Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two made a covenant. Abraham also set apart 7 ewe lambs of the flock, and Abimelech asked him, "What is the purpose of these 7 ewe lambs that you have set apart?" Abraham answered, "The 7 ewe lambs you shall accept from me. that you may be my witness that I dug this well. This is why the place is called Beersheba. The two of them took an oath there. When they had thus made the covenant in Beersheba, Abimelech, along with Phicol, the commander of his army, left to return to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk at Beersheba, and there he invoked by name the Lord God the Eternal. Abraham resided in the land of the Philistines for a long time. In 21:13, I will make a nation of him also. Ishmael's descendants are named in 25:12 through 18. And 21:14, placing the child on her back, a reading based on an emendation of the traditional Hebrew text. In the traditional Hebrew text, Abraham put the bread and the water skin on Hagar's back while her son apparently walked beside her. In this way, the traditional Hebrew text harmonizes the data of the priestly source, in which Ishmael would have been at least 14 years old when Isaac was born. Compare 16:16 with 21:5. Not sure what CF means, 17:25. But in the present Elohist story, Ishmael is obviously a little boy, not much older than Isaac. In 21:22, of the two related promises of progeny and land, that of progeny has been fulfilled in the previous chapter. Now the claim on the land begins to be solidified by Abimelech's recognition of Abraham's claim on the well at Beersheba. It will be furthered by Abraham's purchase of the cave at Machpelah in chapter 23. Two levels of editing are visible in the story. One, verses 22 through 24, 27 and 32, the general covenant with Abimelech, and 2, verses 25 through 26, 28 through 30, and 31, Abraham's claim on the well. Both versions play on the root of the Hebrew word Sheba, which means 7, and swear, and the place name Beersheba. 21:23, this place, Beersheba, Amalek had come from Gerar, about 30 miles west of Beersheba. Chapter 22, the testing of Abraham. Sometime afterward, God put Abraham to the test and said to him, Abraham, here I am. He replied. Then God said, take your son, Isaac, your only one, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. There, offer him up as a burnt offering on one of the heights that I will point out to you. Early the next morning, Abraham saddled his donkey, took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac, and after cutting the wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place of which God had told him. Damn, dude. Abraham probably just had like a hunch or some dream or something like that. And he was just like so ready to be like, all right, guess I gotta kill this boy. You old delusional Joe Biden like motherfucker. All right. Anyway. So on the 3rd day, Abraham caught sight of the place from a distance. Abraham said to his servants, stay here with the donkey while the boy and I go on over to there. Like, Abraham probably knew he was doing some shady shit. That they'll try to stop him. So he's like, you guys stay here. I'm gonna go. We're gonna do something else. We will worship and then come back to you. So Abraham took the word of the burnt offering, took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac, while he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the two walked on together, Isaac spoke to his father Abraham. Father, he said. Here I am, he replied. Isaac continued, here are the fire and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? My son, Abraham answered, God will provide the sheep for the burnt offering. Then the two walked on together. Super sus, man. All right. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. Next, he bound his son Isaac and put him on top of the wood on the altar. Then Abraham reached out and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Here I am, he answered. Do not lay your hand on the boy, said the angel. Do not do the least thing to him, for now I know that you fear God, since you did not withhold from me your son, your only one. Abraham looked up and saw a single ram caught by its horns on the thicket. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham named that place Yahweh Yireh, since people today say, on the mountain the Lord will provide. A second time, the angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven and said, I swear by my very self, oracle of the Lord, that because you acted as you did, and not withholding from me your son, your only one, I will bless you and make your descendants as countless as the stars of the sky and the sands of the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the gates of their enemies, and in your descendants all the nations of the earth will find blessing, because you obeyed my command. Abraham then returned to his servants, and they set out together for Beersheba, where Abraham lived. Nahor's descendants. Sometime afterward, the news came to Abraham. Milcah, too, has borne sons to your brother Nahor. Uz, from his firstborn, his brother Buz, Kemuel, the father of Aram, Chesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. Those 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore children, Tebah, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. Next, footnotes. All right, in 2132, Philistines, one of the sea peoples who migrated from Mycenaean Greece around 1200 BC and settled on the coastland of Canaan, becoming a principal rival of Israel. Non-biblical texts do not use the term Philistine before 1200 BC. It is probably that this usage and those in chapter 26 are anachronistic, perhaps applying a later ethnic term for an earlier, less known one. 2133, God the Eternal, in Hebrew, El Olam, perhaps the name of the deity of the pre-Israelite sanctuary at Beersheba, but used by Abraham as a title of God. 22:1 to 22:19, the divine demand that Abraham sacrifice to God, the son of promise, is the greatest of his trials. After the successful completion of the test, he has only to buy a burial site for Sarah and find a wife for Isaac. The story is widely recognized as a literary masterpiece, depicting in a few lines God as the absolute Lord, inscrutable yet ultimately gracious, and Abraham acting in moral grandeur as the great ancestor of Israel. Abraham speaks simply, with none of the wordy evasions of chapters 13 and 21. The style is laconic, motivations and thoughts are not explained, and the reader cannot but wonder at the scene. What's going on? All right, in verses 15 through 28, the angel repeats the seventh and climactic promise. Moriah, the mountain, is not given a precise geographical location here, though second was a CHR Corinthians. No, Corinthians doesn't have CH. CHR 3:1 identifies Moriah as the mountain of Jerusalem where Solomon built the temple. Abraham is thus the first to worship there. The word Moriah is a play on the verb to see. The word play is continued in verse 8. God will provide. And in verse 14, Yahweh Yireh, meaning the Lord will see or provide. 22:9, bound. The Hebrew verb is akad, from which is derived the noun akeda, or the binding of Isaac, the traditional Jewish name for this incident. I'm just kind of curious. Abraham was an old dude. Like, unless like Isaac like voluntarily went on with it, he's probably like, "What's going on? Like, why am I doing this? All right, I have faith. I believe in you. I trust you, Father. My father wouldn't burn me." 2:13. While the Bible recognizes that firstborn males belong to God and provides an alternate sacrifice to redeem firstborn sons, the focus here is on Abraham's being tested by God. But the widely attested practice of child sacrifice underscores, for all its horror today, the realism of the test. 22:14, Yahweh Sareh, or Yahweh Yireh, a Hebrew expression meaning the Lord will see or provide. 22:15 to 22:19, the seventh and climactic statement of the blessings to Abraham. Unlike the other statements, which were purely promissory, this one is presented as a reward for Abraham's extraordinary trust. All right, chapter 23, purchase of a burial plot. The span of Sarah's life was 127 years. She died in Kiriath Arba, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham proceeded to mourn and weep for her. Then he left the side of his deceased wife and addressed the Hittites. Although I am a resident alien among you, sell me from your holdings a burial place that I may bury my deceased wife. The Hittites answered Abraham, "Please, sir, listen to us. You are a mighty leader among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial sites. None of us would deny you his burial ground for the burial of your dead." Abraham, however, proceeded to bow low before the people of the land, the Hittites, and said to them, "If you will allow me room for burial of my dead, listen to me. Intercede for me with Ephron, son of Zohar, so that he will sell me the cave of Machpelah that he owns. It is at the edge of his field. Let him sell it to me in your presence at its full price for a burial place." Now Ephron was sitting with the Hittites. So Ephron, the Hittite, replied to Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, all who entered the gate of his city, "Please, sir, listen to me. I give you both the field and the cave in it. In the presence of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead." But Abraham, after bowing low before the people of the land, addressed Ephron in the hearing of these men, "If only you would please listen to me. I will pay you the price of the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there." Ephron replied to Abraham, "Please, sir, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Bury your dead." Abraham accepted Ephron's terms. He weighed out to him the silver that Ephron had stipulated in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver at the current market value. Thus Ephron's field in Machpelah, facing Mamre, together with its cave and all the trees anywhere within its limits, was conveyed to Abraham by purchase in the presence of the Hittites, all who entered the gate of Ephron's city. After this, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave of the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field with its cave was transferred from the Hittites to Abraham as a burial place. Let's get to some of the footnotes. In 2220 to 2224, the descendants to the second generation of Nahor, Abraham's brother, who married Milcah of Terah's 3 sons, the oldest, Abraham, fathered Isaac. and the youngest, Haran, who died in Ur, fathered Lot. Abraham is now told that Nahor had 8 children by Milcah and 4 by his concubine Reumah. Apart from the notice about the children born to Abraham by his second wife, Keturah, all the information about Terah's family to the second generation is now complete. It is noteworthy that Jacob will, like Nahor, have 8 children by his wives and 4 by his concubines. 23:1 through 20. The occasion for purchasing the land is the need for a burial site for Sarah, for it would be unthinkable to bury Sarah outside of the promised land. One of the 2 great promises to Abraham, that of progeny, has been fulfilled. And now the promise of land is to be fulfilled through a kind of down payment on the full possession that will take place only with the conquest under Joshua and during the reign of David. His purchase has been prepared for by Abimelech's recognition of Abraham's claim to the well at Beersheba. Among the ancestral stories, this narrative is one of 2 that are entirely from the priestly source, chapter 17 being the other. The priestly writers may have intended to encourage the generation of the exile to a renewed hope of repossessing their land. In 23:3, the Hittites. In the Bible, the term is applied to several different groups. Inhabitants of the second millennium Hittite Empire in Asia Minor and northern Syria, residents of the Neo-Hittite kingdoms in northern Syria in the first part of the first millennium, and following Assyrian terminology, the inhabitants of Syria and Palestine. The third group is meant here. In 23:4, a resident alien. Such a one would normally not have the right to own property. The importance of Abraham's purchase of the field in Machpelah, which is worded in technical legal terms, lies in the fact that it gave his descendants their first, though small, land rights in the country that God had promised the patriarch they would one day inherit as their own. Abraham therefore insists on purchasing the field and not receiving it as a gift. 23:15. 400 shekels, probably an exorbitant sum. Jeremiah paid only 17 shekels for his field in Anathoth, though the Babylonian invasion no doubt helped to reduce the price. 23:16, the current market value is the standard weight called a shekel, varied according to time and place. All right, chapter 24, Isaac and Rebekah. Abraham was old, having seen many days, and the Lord had blessed him in every way. Abraham said to the senior servant of his household, who had charge of all his possessions, "Put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I live, that you will go to my own land and to my relatives to get a wife for my son Isaac." I don't want to pick one out of these dirty, filthy scoundrels, the Canaanites. These people. He's like, go pick a family member. Because that's what we do in our family. We fuck our family. Go get one of his cousins or some shit. Okay, I don't know. Let's see. So at least from the land, they wanted somebody for Isaac. Somebody else. Was that racist? Was Abraham a little racist against the Canaanites? All right. The servant asked him, "What if the woman is unwilling to follow me to this land? Should I then take your son back to the land from which you came?" Abraham told him, "Never take my son back there for any reason. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and the land of my relatives, and who confirmed by oath the promise he made to me, I will give this land to your descendants. He will send his angel before you, and you will get a wife for my son there. If the woman is unwilling to follow you, you will be released from this oath to me, but never take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of his master Abraham and swore to him concerning this matter. The servant then took 10 of his master's camels, and bearing all kinds of gifts from his master, he made his way to the city of Nahor in Aram Naharaim. Near evening, at the time when women go out to draw water, he made the camels kneel by the well outside the city. Then he said, Lord God of my master Abraham, let it turn out favorably for me today, and thus deal graciously with my master Abraham. While I stand here at the spring and the daughters of the townspeople are coming out to draw water, if I say to a young woman, please lower your jug that I may drink, and she answers, drink, and I will water your camels too, then she is the one whom you have decided upon for your servant Isaac. In this way I will know that you have dealt graciously with my master. Quick, we'll come back to 24:15 in a second. In 24:1 through 67, the story of Abraham and Sarah is drawing to a close. The promises of progeny and land have been fulfilled, and Sarah has died. Abraham's last duty is to ensure that his son Isaac shares in the promises. Isaac must take a wife from his own people, so the promises may be fulfilled. The extraordinary length of this story and its development of a single theme contrasts strikingly with the spare style of the preceding Abraham and Sarah stories. It points ahead to the Jacob and Joseph stories. The length of the story is partly caused by its meticulous attention to the sign, its fulfillment, and the servant's retelling of the sign and fulfillment to Rebekah's family to win their consent. In 24:2, put your hand under my thigh. The symbolism of this act was apparently connected with the Hebrew concept of children issuing from their father's thigh, the literal meaning of direct descendants. Perhaps the man who took such an oath was thought to bring the curse of sterility on himself if he did not fulfill his sworn promise. Jacob made Joseph swear in the same way. In both these instances, the oath was taken to carry out the last request of a man upon his death. 24:10, Nahor. It is uncertain whether this is the place where Abraham's brother Nahor had lived, or whether it is the city Nahor named in the Mari documents, the 19th and 18th centuries BC, near the confluence of the Balikh and Middle Euphrates rivers. Aram Naharaim, or Aram between the two rivers, is the Yahweh's designation for Terah's homeland. The two rivers are the Habur and the Euphrates. The priestly designation for the area is Padan Aram, which is from the Assyrian Padana, or road or garden, and Aram, which refers to the people or land of the Arameans. In 24:12, let it turn out favorably for me, means let me have a favorable sign. In 24:15, he had scarcely finished speaking when Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor, came out with a jug on her shoulder. The young woman was very beautiful, a virgin, untouched by man. She went down to the spring and filled her jug. As she came up, the servant ran toward her and said, please, give me a sip of water from your jug. Drink, sir, she replied, and quickly lowering the jug into her hand, gave him a drink. Wait, was she carrying it on her shoulder, or was she carrying it like that? I wonder, I don't know. And people were famous for carrying it like that. It was a little bit easier. You got your whole body weight basically supporting it. So you didn't have to like carry it like that. It was more strenuous. Or carry it on your shoulder. It's how I carry jugs like that. Just go like that. Wah, like that. It's easier your whole entire body weight to be able to support it. So she lowered the jug into her hand, or she gave him a drink. When she had finished giving him the drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels too, until they have finished drinking. With that, she quickly emptied her jug into the drinking trough and ran back to the well to draw more water, until she had drawn enough for all the camels. The man watched her the whole time, silently waiting to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took out a gold nose ring weighing half a shekel and 2 gold bracelets weighing 10 shekels for her wrists. Then he asked her, Whose daughter are you? Tell me, please. And is there a place in your father's house for us to spend the night? She answered, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. We have plenty of straw and fodder, she added, and also a place to spend the night. The man then knelt and bowed down to the Lord, saying, Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not let his kindness and fidelity toward my master fail. As for me, the Lord has led me straight to the house of my master's brother. All right. We hit an hour. Let's go ahead and finish with the closing prayer. Going a little OT, a little overtime. We'll pick back up on 2428. Page 32, 24, 28. Pick back up. Let's go ahead and finish with a closing prayer. All right, so for a weekly conclusion prayer, gracious and almighty God, as we gather here today, we bow our heads and lift our hearts to you, asking for your deep, enduring peace to flood our world. Lord, we live in a fractured time where noise and division so easily drown out our shared humanity. Grant us the wisdom, not just knowledge, but divine wisdom to move forward productively. Show us how to walk away from needless conflict, to heal what is broken, and to actively pursue a genuine sense of unification and togetherness among all people. Remind us, Father, that beneath every label, across every border, and through every difference of culture, nation, and ethnicity, we are one family. Help us look past superficial differences in appearance, ideology, philosophy, and lifestyle. Strip away our prejudice and pride, and help us remember that we are called to work together as one people, bound by grace and shared purpose. Lord, check our hearts and give us true perspective. Forgive us for the times we major in the minors. Humble us with the realization that our petty little squabbles over frivolous, menial matters are a profound luxury. They are a sign of the privilege we hold, insulated as we often are from life-altering and life-endangering hardships. Wake us up to the reality of how much time we waste on things that do not matter, while millions face true suffering. Lift our gaze, O God, above the trivial frictions of daily life. Help us keep our eyes fixed on what truly lies ahead and on the magnificent things we can accomplish when we stop fighting over the small pieces of the puzzle and finally look at your grand, beautiful picture. Unite us in vision, strengthen us in resolve, and lead us forward together. In your holy name we pray. Amen. All right. Thank you for watching. I'm peacing out. You guys have a great day, and catch you guys later.